I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network, joined by Democratic Congressman Robert Garcia, a freshman member of Congress from California's 42nd Congressional District, fairly close to me. Welcome to the show, Congressman.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
So, MAGA Republican Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, just put out a statement saying that Republicans have made this Congress more productive, more open, and more transparent than any time in recent history. The People's House is getting back to work. Now, I know this is your first term in Congress. However, as I've observed this and have covered you in the Oversight Committee and others, this Republican-controlled House of Representatives, in my view, has been anything but productive, open, or transparent. What say you?
I mean, that's a joke, obviously. I mean, Kevin McCarthy has given away the keys to Congress to the most extreme members in his party. I mean, you're talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert and George Santos. So it has been the exact opposite of what he has described. I mean, the Congress that he is leading is shameful. It's partisan. It attacks people that need help and need support. And there's been no actual progress for anybody. They're focused on investigations that go nowhere. They're focused on uplifting fringes in their party of the right wing. They're focused on protecting folks like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who has zero business being in Congress. So it's quite comical that Kevin McCarthy, who barely became Speaker himself after numerous votes, thinks they're being productive. I mean, it's also interesting that as he puts that tweet out, other members of his caucus, and you may have seen, like, even Matt Gaetz kind of quote tweet that, and they're back to attacking McCarthy. So they're the chaos party. They're completely in disarray, and Democrats, fortunately, are pretty united, and we're working hard to win back that majority.
You know, you're the former mayor of Long Beach. In that position, you actually had to deliver tangible things to the people, and you had to deal with issues at the port. You had to deal with workers. You had to actually have constructive things happening with the community. As you've now taken this role with the MAGA Republicans controlling the House, with everything you said, did you arrive optimistically? Does the level of chaos surprise you? What's your immediate reaction just based on where your expectations are and what's actually occurred?
Yeah, I mean, the transition has been a little rough. I mean, certainly coming from a well-run city in California, where generally the population is pretty progressive and pretty supportive, to go to a situation where half of your colleagues don't even believe that you should have basic, like, civil rights as an openly gay person is really been hard. That part's been hard. But I've watched how Donald Trump has systematically tried to destroy this country when he was president. I've seen Donald Trump attack our institutions, essentially just flip the script and the way Republicans are going to govern. And so I was prepared for that. And we're now dealing with a House majority that is a Donald Trump MAGA majority, and they control the party, and they choose to not focus on anything around truth or science or facts, and their job is to get back in office. They're authoritarian, Donald Trump, and they'll do whatever it takes, whatever they can, to make that happen. And they have no interest in actually doing anything else. And so we're fighting that every single day, and we got to do everything that we can to make sure that Donald Trump doesn't get reelected.
You know, the way you just referred to the Republican Party as the MAGA party or the Trump party is exactly the language we use here. We don't refer to them as conservative here on the MeidasTouch Network because I don't believe they're conservative at all. It's like a mutation. If you look at my views, you'd say, well, that's a progressive and liberal person, but I want to conserve our democracy, and they don't. And it's this fascism that's mixed with idiocracy. Here, I'll just show you these photos. Like, this is Donald Trump selling T-shirts of himself saying "Never surrender." It's a photo of him surrendering in Fulton County, Georgia. You got Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is a colleague of yours. Like, she's posting videos of herself squatting while talking about singing songs with the January 6th insurrectionists and releasing the song on Apple Music. Like, what do you even call, what's going on here? Like, do you think the people, like Americans, are looking at this now that they have the majority and saying, what the heck, this is just not normal behavior?
I mean, I hope so. I mean, look, I have the misfortune of being like the only Democrat in Congress that serves on all three of the same committees as Marjorie Taylor Greene. So I probably spend more time with her as a Democrat than anybody else in the caucus, and I just think she is completely unfit to serve. The things she says are crazy and insane, just like that tweet you just, or that message you just posted. And so I think what we have to do as Democrats is continue to be the normal party in the group of folks that want to actually save our democracy and our country. And we have to remember that every single day, the Marjorie Taylor Greenes and the Donald Trumps are actively working to destroy these institutions, to reinstall some and rechange the way we even function as a government, attack the media, attack doctors. These are huge problems in the country. I hope that people realize the damage that they are causing, the damage that folks like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Kevin McCarthy is allowing to happen in the Congress. And you're absolutely right. These are MAGA extremists. The Republican Party, of old conservative party, that's dead. I mean, that doesn't exist in Congress anymore.
So Congress is gearing up to return from recess. It's August recess. Americans are very concerned right now as these MAGA Republicans are threatening to not fund the government. They could have passed 12 appropriation bills before they left. They refused to do that, to again create a shot clock until doom scenario, which is what they did with the debt ceiling. What's your message right now to the American people who are worried? Because if government is shut down, not only will that severely impact federal employees, but federal services as well that millions and tens of millions of Americans rely on.
I mean, I think first it's important that folks to know that the Democratic caucus is completely united on ensuring that we preserve and continue to keep the government open, providing the important services that people need, and ensuring the federal workforce is paid and supported. So we're on the same page. What you have is a MAGA extremist party on the other side that can't figure out what they're going to do. And it's looking very much like Kevin McCarthy is ready to shut down the government because he wants to hold on to power. All he cares about is continuing to be the speaker, and the people that hold his future in their hands are the Marjorie Taylor Greenes and the Lauren Boeberts and the Matt Gaetzes of the world. And so I think that we are headed for what could be a really damaging shutdown that will not only impact, of course, the federal workforce, but the broader workforce and the economy as a whole. Are we going to really shut down the government and impact, for example, folks that are being supported to do like federal firefighter work and the types of support that happens there? Or are we really going to ensure and shut down federal offices and folks that need support in healthcare at the federal level? So the damage is huge. And we were talking earlier about Marjorie Taylor Greene, and you probably saw the message she recently also posted where she said that she would and is willing to shut down the government if the House Republicans don't start an impeachment inquiry on President Biden, which is insane. I mean, President Biden has done nothing wrong. And so they want to play politics and they want to hold the economy hostage, and they don't really care who they hurt. And so that's who we're dealing with. We gotta get these guys all out of office and continue to uplift like you're doing and others, how important it is for us to stay united, to win elections, win back the House, keep the Senate, and of course, reelect President Biden.
I want to talk about these threats of impeachment that Republicans are tailoring with their other threats to shut down the government at the same time. Those are the two things they're talking about doing when they return. But are the Democrats preparing messaging, though? Because, MAGA Republicans return. They then have Fox and the New York Post, and then large media networks don't really do much favors when it comes to the truth of actually rebutting the disinformation out there. But then they put out the lies that we're trying to fund it, but the Democrats are trying to, this is like what they say, I'm not even making this up, but they're trying to make the military so woke. And if they just remove the woke, we're trying to fund it and they're doing a woke block. So I think the minority leader, Hakeem Jeffries, has been an incredible messenger. I thought his press conferences to date and the consistent united messaging has been really, really, really strong. But are the Democrats ready for, it's clear what they're about to do, and what could the Democrats do in maybe even new and innovative ways to like break through all this like disinformation, Kim Jong-un propaganda style crap that comes from Fox and other places?
Well, I think being on the offense is really, really important. So one thing you just mentioned, for example, I mean, with what relates to the impeachment possible inquiry or process that the Republicans are going to start, I mean, they're basing all of this on essentially their creation of some sort of link between the president or the White House and possible Hunter Biden dealings or business dealings, which is completely ridiculous. We know that Hunter Biden never worked for the government. We know there's never been a link to the president. The president's never been, there's no evidence, zero evidence that he's ever done anything that's been improper. Yet, at the same time, we have Jared Kushner, who was the lead liaison in the White House in the Middle East, leaves the White House under President Trump, who he actually worked in the White House. He was a member of the administration, and then makes $2 billion a few months after from the Saudi government. Where's that investigation? Why aren't we investigating the Trumps and the Trump crime family and their numerous crimes and a grift that they've done across the world, and actually using the influence that they had as White House employees as investigations? I mean, they're trying to attack the president on an issue where there's absolutely zero connection and zero evidence, yet their former president, their supreme leader, the kids and that family clearly have benefited just astronomically from their White House involvement. And this Saudi Arabia issue and the $2 billion, we're actively working through oversight to get to the bottom of that. We should be subpoenaing that information from Jared Kushner's company as to why he received billions of dollars from the Saudi government just months after leaving the White House.
Yeah, I saw recently, for example, Democratic Congressmember Jamie Raskin called for that investigation to take place. The MAGA Republican chairman, James Comer, I think is more interested in these fake whistleblowers and whistleblowers, a Russian oligarch or a spy from China or is missing, or when you actually get these so-called IRS whistleblowers seated there, they talk about things that happen when Trump was in office. And, I watch your colleagues like Democratic Congressmember Krishnamurthy and you and others basically saying like, you realize Donald Trump was in office then. The thing you're complaining about, so did Biden go back in time before he was the president and what, just break the space-time continuum? But it goes to this point I emphasize over and over and over again, is that facts and evidence should not be restricted to one political party. And right now, I'm glad that it's the Democratic Party, but how unfortunate for our democracy that you only have one political party actually living in reality while you have another political party involved in their kind of fantasy, fascist, Hunter Biden, nudie world. And it's just weird. And it's frankly, as an American, their conduct is it's embarrassing. Like, are you embarrassed? I'm like, when you're there and you're sitting there, you're a member of Congress. This is what you wanted to do your whole life. You've worked in government. You've done things. You wear that pin, and then you got Marjorie Taylor Greene like doing squats, and you got Jim Jordan acting like a maniac. Like it's embarrassing stuff.
I mean, it's not just doing squats. I mean, she's showing like dick pics in committee meetings. I mean, she is doing all sorts of showing essentially pornography in the House because she's obsessed with the president's children. And so it is disturbing. These folks are not ready for any sort of serious role in government. In fact, they're there to be disruptors and to bring chaos and to damage all of these institutions. And I think that's what it comes down to. I think that, Donald Trump has forever change this country and our government. I personally believe he's been the most destructive force ever to be in the White House. He's the biggest con man ever to be in the White House, and we're now all living in his destruction. And fortunately, we have President Biden, Vice President Kamala Harris. We have folks like Hakeem Jeffries who are leading our caucus, who are we're trying to repair the country. And I think that right now, the work of getting information out to folks and letting them know that these folks are trying to really literally destroy our democracy and rip up our Constitution, that's got to be our job every single day. We've got to push back on their lies every single time.
So finally, Congressman, if you can, tell the American people, if Democrats were to take control of the House in 2024, I think we know the types of investigations that the House oversight would conduct that's within their jurisdiction. I think as you mentioned, an investigation of Jared Kushner, Saudi Arabian influence, and so much more, emoluments violations. But in terms of kind of policy for workers, for LGBTQ plus, for women, for veterans, for seniors and students. If you can just briefly paint a picture of what the Democratic priorities would be so the American people know, in contrast to everything we've talked about that the Republicans are doing, what does a Democratic Congress look like in terms of pushing forward legislation?
I mean, look, if we are able to win the majority back, hold the Senate and the White House, which I think we will, it's going to be a transformational moment for our country. And House Democrats already have our priorities. We're talking about a massive, as we know, a voting rights bill to expand voting rights and stop gerrymandering and ensure that people have access to the ballot across this country. We're talking about ensuring that we are focused on the rights of having an abortion and access to medical care for people across this country as part of legislation and as part of our broader view that healthcare is accessible for everyone. We're talking about the Equality Act for LGBTQ plus people to be supported in the workplace. We're talking about additional support for students and student loan debt relief. You're talking about union support by passing the PRO Act, which would essentially provide additional support for union organizing across this country. And so time and time again, we would have really important bills that actually help people. And I think one of the things that we want to do, which is really something that we haven't brought forward recently, but is being worked on behind the scenes, is a massive reform of our immigration system, which is needed, and also our tax system. The billionaires and large corporations in this country are getting away with enormous, huge tax breaks and support from the government, which is completely ridiculous. And the average person deserves the same type of relief that corporations are getting. And I think we can fix our tax code. We can readjust where resources go and really help folks that are really struggling. So we're excited. We're getting to work, but it's going to take a lot of organizing to get these elections done.
Congressman Garcia, thank you so much for joining us on the MeidasTouch Network.
Thanks so much. Thanks for all you do.
Thank you. And everybody, make sure you hit subscribe right now on the YouTube channel. We're on our way to 2 million subscribers. And also check us out at MeidasTouch.com. Have a great day.
Hey, Meidas Mighty. Love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram at MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.